What's up, everybody? The History Guy here. Well, as promised that I might do, I've decided to go back and give a second playthrough to all of the battles, starting with the second one of this Ultimate General Civil War Union campaign on Legendary, with a different strategy. Number one, because I want to see if I can do better, but number two, because I want to compare how two different strategies can over time lead to a very different outcome. So I want to see where we are at the stage I'm at in the campaign, which is going into the Battle of Gaines Mill with a different strategy. This time around, what I'm going to try to do is take out more of the enemy, focus on having a smaller army, but one that's better equipped with better weapons early on, which means, you know, I'll spend money, which means I won't be able to outfit as many troops, but have better weapons. So we'll see what happens. I'll show you a few highlights. We'll probably do an episode or two to get you all caught back up. And it starts with me trying to win the battle at distress call instead of losing it, which right off the bat should set me up in a different position. So we'll see what happens. All right, so part one of this for me is I pulled everybody back. We're just going to defend the one position, and as I hoped, he sent in just one brigade by itself to kind of deal with it. I've already gotten my reinforcements, and I'm just going to sit back in these woods and hopefully do enough damage to him to even the odds to where I can go back and take the other objective when the time comes. This is exactly what I wanted to see happen, that he'd send one lone brigade like this. So if he continues that, it gives me a chance to do pretty significant damage to him in this battle. So with an hour to go, it seems to be working quite nicely. I'm sitting right here at the edge of the woods, inflicting significantly more casualties than I'm taking, getting 3-1 on the brigades, and we've caused 2 of them to break now. He's starting to bring B in, and hopefully we can do the same to him as he charges in. I'm actually going to send these skirmishers out, see if we can't get some additional fire on him here. He's going to charge right into there, and so he'll probably drive Woods out. But hopefully we can cause him to go back out before he does too much damage to Woods here. So now with B successfully routed to the rear, what I'm doing is I'm going to send my skirmishers and Edwin back here just to keep one eye on him as I rush Moore back to the front, who has 196 kills and only 1 death, by the way. And now we're going to allow him to continue help pushing off this attack. But keeping an eye on that timer, I'm not entirely sure how much leeway I have to go over, so I'll have to be thinking about that as I prepare to counterattack. With a half hour to go on the timer, we're into kind of a shootout here now, but my understanding is I can go significantly past the timer on this one, so that makes me feel a little better about the situation. However, I did just lose this unit. They're routing out of there, so we're going to put Richards over in there to help out. Looks like we're going to have a bit of a situation here that I'm going to have to deal with, so I might have to shift some units around. Alright, so we drove off a couple of melee attacks that came in on me. Starting to lose more men, but the good news is we're wearing him down faster than he's wearing us down. We've got to get over here and resupply these 2 units that are keeping B occupied. He did drive off my skirmishers over here, who are down to just 94 men, which is certainly not good news. But otherwise, things are going pretty well. We're inflicting more casualties, which is good because I think he's got about 4,000 more men than I do. So eventually we'll get some of these units down to the point where they will start to disintegrate, and that's when I can make my counterattack happen. Alright, so here's the situation now at 11:41 in the morning. My units are getting worn down big time, but so are his. And now I've done enough that I can free up a few of my units to get up here and maybe start harassing his flanks, go after his artillery, and then eventually move forward and counterattack. But he's not quite weak enough for me to do that just yet. B was down to about 200 and some men when he fled off to the east somewhere, and I'm pretty content to let him do that. Alright, we're at 12:20. The battle continues. A couple of his units have now dissolved. He's still got a huge brigade that he's not moving out of that objective, which worries me because it's going to be hard to dislodge 1,377 men. But if I can wipe out these 3, which I feel like I could do if I'm given enough time, then I can probably knock him out of there just long enough to finish the battle and win it, but we'll find out if that's the case. All of his units have completely dissolved except for the ones that you see on the screen right here, and very soon I'm hoping to take out these last three. Once those three are gone, then we move on ransom and try to dislodge him from the objective by hitting all sides at once. But not until I've eliminated all the other threats from out here, since it's giving me the time to do that. I've got at least another hour. I might have longer. I'm not entirely sure. But we're going to take out all of these threats before we go after that fort. All right, same drill here. We eliminate the guys that are left. We leave, hopefully, only that huge brigade that's up in there in the fort. Looks like we just dissolved another one of his units. I'm gonna bring the guns up here, we'll bring the supplies up here, and we're gonna sit tight in these woods, and hopefully he comes to me, and then we can squeeze this guy from all sides at once and hope that that's enough to finish this thing off. Alright, another brigade dissolved. I believe that leaves maybe just his artillery, which I can't see right now. And then ransom inside the fort. We're actually going to hang tight because Loomis here is only at 8% condition. Certainly no way to win a battle. We're going to try to do this with just the other two. I don't know, is he actually... No, it's just his other guys dissolving through the fort. I was going to say it looked like he was maybe breaking out of there, but I guess not. Gotta hit this battery as quick as I can. Loomis is not recovering, so he's really not going to do me a lot of good. Hopefully a couple of volleys drives this battery off, and then we can finish this up. Gonna take some casualties here. Probably should have sent the mounted units over at the... Oh, get my general behind there. Probably should have sent the mounted units at the battery. Of course, these guys being a merged unit, that never goes well. I just need ransom to break long enough for me to move in and take this thing, but it doesn't appear that's likely to happen. I'm hoping if I hit him from multiple sides, but I don't know. Yeah, it looks like it might work. If this thing switches sides, we're going to end it. I'm just not sure it's going to happen. Okay, he's leaving. I might not have many men left when he does, but that's okay. That's part of the strategy I'm trying out here. So there's a 3-star unit that was bigger than all of my men combined. And it doesn't look like he's ready to give up quite yet. Oh, Moore, don't chase after him. Yeah, that Moore just completely dissolved. All right, so there you have it, though. With a force of only 5,398 men to his 11,000, I managed to win, losing about 60% of my men, but inflicting about 50% casualties on him. I rescued some guns, but honestly, it's kind of a wash as far as all that goes. But let's see where we're at. Now, obviously, we're at a very different place than we were last time at this point, having pretty much a brand new army now. So we'll have to compare how that leaves us going into first bull run compared to last time. All right, so here's the difference, and I put another point into recon so I could actually see this. The last time I went into Bull Run with 16,581 men and 42 guns. However, all of my men, which are a part of that, only had the 1842s, the Springfield 1842s. This time, I'm actually going in with far fewer men, but much better equipped. You can see here I've got 4 brigades of 1,000 men, but we've got Lawrence's, Palmetto 1842s, Springfield 1842s on these guys, and then another set of Palmetto 1842s. So a little upgrade. I've also got a unit with 10-pounders and also 10 guns here, and I still have more reputation points. So I don't have that -5 hit to my morale that I had last time, and this is after actually spending some of those points to get the things that I did. So I think that's going to have a positive effect, but we're going to have to take a look and see what actually happens in the battle itself. Alright, so we're on to Bull Run, and the first change I've made, besides the fact that both armies are smaller, is I did not wait for the bigger brigades to arrive before hurling everybody at the 4th South Carolina and dislodging them from this position. So I'm kind of moving a little faster with those things. I also completely wiped out his cavalry unit that was marching around over there. And we're going to press this attack just as soon as I can get everybody into position here. And I'm going to move my brigades over to this side, and we're going to move the AI brigades that I receive in this one over to the other side. I'm going to keep pressing this attack here. Alright, so far so good. We're really doing some significant damage to all of these brigades, even before they fall back to Henry Hill. So I feel like it's going significantly better. Well, of course, both sides having fewer troops and mine having better weapons definitely seems to be helping quite a bit. But otherwise, my strategy remains largely the same. Just the speed at which I'm doing it and the weapons which I'm using seem to be making a difference. The benefit here to the earlier attack is that I catch the Stonewall Brigade in the water, and I get to rout them before they even get into position. And then I'll get these guns going here, which will make things even easier. Got to be careful with the 2nd New York. They're a pretty small unit to begin with, so they may not have a lot of firepower to deal with the Louisiana Tigers, but for the most part, this is certainly going to make my job a lot easier, catching these guys as they hit the water. Alright, so I've got a good bit of the remaining units of the Confederate Army up here, and we're climbing up Henry Hill largely unopposed. And I've got 50 minutes until this phase ends, which is going to give me adequate time to rest and prepare for the rebel counterattack. We drove off the Louisiana Tigers and just completely disintegrated them, so they don't even exist as a unit anymore. And now we're getting Sherman back up here into the action just in time to try to dissolve what's remaining of these units here. So all the way around, a much, much better battle. And we'll try to engage these last couple units up here and try to drive them off and build a battle line right at the objective before the counterattack can come. So with 3 minutes left in the mission time, we have secured Henry Hill, which means I'm going to be able to get my army in position with my guns ready to repel the counterattack. And that's exactly where I want to be. We've got Sherman down here dealing with this battery. We're going to get all the guns up here, and we should be able to cause significant casualties when he comes in with this counterattack. So the battlefield looks like this, and it's pretty well kind of devolved into a stalemate where we're just kind of firing at each other with guns, and every so often he sends a brigade in, which I completely decimate, most of whom have dissolved. So it's going to be interesting to see the final casualties this time around compared to last time. So I moved my left flank up, and as soon as I did that, that caused him to react. I wiped out his battery, and now we're starting to cause some casualties up close, which is what I was hoping for. Let's get these guys moved up so we can do the same over here. And if the battle allows me to continue, I think we'll definitely do that, because I've got a chance to completely annihilate the rebel army here. Okay, so let's look at the numbers. This time around, he had about 4,400 less infantry than he did before, and I inflicted about 3,000 fewer infantry casualties. The big difference is on my side. Last time I had 15,000 infantry, 42 guns. This time around, I had 11,900 infantry and 52 guns, and only lost 4,000 men compared to the 8,300 men I lost last time. So I came in with fewer men, lost 4,000 fewer men, which means there's a lot more sitting in my force pool than before. And I should be in a much, much better situation going into the next battle. So with 37 minutes to go here on Crossroads, we've built a defensive line in these trees, and I'm just trying to pick off as many of his men as I can. I didn't put any points into army organization, which means I can only take in 6 brigades to this one. So he's outnumbering me better than 2 to 1 in this battle, which is definitely causing some problems for me. But I'm hoping, like a lot of these battles, it gives me the time to do what I need, which is to basically sit here and try to pick off as many of the enemy as I can before I advance. I finally did away with Lindsay's mounted infantry, which was driving me nuts after riding through my lines, and we've pretty much routed everybody, so I want to wait and see if they come at me one more time before I start advancing out. I'm hoping that they will. Although it looks like they might be going after my skirmishers instead, so we may have to go out at this point just to take the objective. No, he's going to come at me, so let's fall back. And I don't know why Nicholas is running. I'm going to let him come at me one more time if he's willing to do that. He's still coming at me, and I don't know how long I have, but I'm going to keep going this way as long as I can, because I'm inflicting massive casualties on him by allowing him to continually assault me, even though I was crazy outnumbered in this battle. If he does this a few more times, I can just walk into the objective. Alright, so I've gone ahead and advanced out. There is one brigade that he left sitting on the objective that he hasn't been attacking me with. So we're going to deal with these other 2 first. And then that way I can bring everybody in on him at once. Looks like they threw Leonard back. But I've still got the numbers here. And once I bring my guns up, it will get even easier. All right, so there you have it. I had 6,000 men up against over 14,000, lost 2,300 men, and inflicted 7,000 casualties. So again, a much, much better result despite the fact that I was heavily outnumbered. So now we definitely need to put a point into army organization so I can at least get a few more brigades in there. I'm still not going to have quite enough going into river crossing because I can only take 8 brigades. I should have put an additional point after Bull Run into this, but at least I'll be able to take 8 out of the available 12, and I think that'll be enough, especially since I only have to take 1 of the 2 objectives at that battle. Alright, so I'm into position for Crossroads. I've got about 9,000 men to his 13,000 or so, so it's not a insurmountable obstacle, and I'm going to sit tight here for a little while, try to pick off some of his skirmishers. My skirmishers are in range, his are apparently not, because they're all inflicting casualties without really taking any. I've also got my guns in position, and I've got my first unit of cavalry that I'll use if I get an opportunity to pounce on somebody. So we'll do that, and then we'll slowly inch forward toward the objective, try to push Fulkerson and whoever else is up there out of that spot, and call this one a day. So we just about pushed him out with 33 minutes to go. I was able to pretty much concentrate my fire. I'm surprised he hasn't sent anybody over here yet to come after me, but used my cavalry when he would assault me with melee and just tried to disrupt him a little bit. Cavalry didn't do a lot of damage. They took as many casualties as they gave, but they managed to disrupt some of his attacks, which was really the main goal of using the melee cav in this battle, was just to kind of break things up a little bit and even the odds when he smashed into me with a heavily experienced unit. Now we just need to drive Scott out of here and then sit tight on the objective for a couple of minutes. He may at some point start shifting those other units over here. we'll see what happens with that here in a minute, but I'm pretty content to just kind of let this one finish up. So the objective is taken. The battle could be finished at any time, but he keeps hurling himself at me, and I'm pretty content to let him do that. So we're just going to keep inflicting casualties. I've got my 10-pounders firing on his guns out there, but we're just hurling back assault after assault here. I'm taking some casualties, but I'm inflicting far more, and hopefully that'll lead to me gathering up some nice weapons. I might send Fry out here to go try and hit Munford out in the open somewhere. Maybe I'll get lucky with that. Okay, so there's the numbers. He had about 12,000, a little more than 12,000. I inflicted 4,000 plus casualties. I had about 8,500 men, something like that, and lost about a quarter of them. So again, a pretty good day. Was able to grab some guns, and now we set ourselves up for the Battle of Shiloh. All right, well, I'm well into the Battle of Shiloh, and I don't intend to show you much of this one because my strategy is pretty much exactly the same. It's actually just going a lot better this time around. He's largely abandoned the attack on this side. I mean, he's fired a lot of artillery at me, but he's largely abandoned the attack on this side, and he's focusing over on this side, but I'm causing a lot more casualties than I did the last time, and I think that has to do with having better weapons. And more units, even though the units are smaller. It seems to be working out for me. So, and I did a really good job of getting on his flanks early and causing a lot of units to fall back. So, starting to run into some ammo issues now. I'm not reloading the artillery just because I'm trying to save the ammo for the infantry, which is also having issues. But unless anything interesting happens, this is probably all you'll see of Shiloh because it's going really, really well right now, and my strategy is pretty much the same as last time. So we'll see where we're at after this battle going into the peninsula and the battles back over in the Richmond area. Well, as I expected, things are going much better this time around. You can see I've got nearly 40,000 men and 57 guns, and he's got just 16,000. So I don't think it's going to take much to be able to march through and finish him off. So we're going to see how this one ends up, but I think it's going to be pretty one-sided. All right, so just as I did before, I'm just going to send out the Army of the Ohio's troops, which are not mine, and are pretty much all fresh. Most of them haven't taken many casualties at all. Rousseau's one of the only ones who has. He took about 300 so far. Gibson's taken 400, but these are huge, huge units, and so they're going to head this up. My whole army's going to stay behind back here in the fortifications, and we're just gonna wear this guy down. I've got plenty of time. We'll march over here, take Shiloh Church, and call it a day. Well, I just saw something I don't think I've ever seen. A unit that had about 700 men still in it just disintegrated. Usually they get a lot lower than that before that happens, so I'm not entirely sure why that happened, but wow, that was glorious to behold. I just put a couple of volleys into him and he just disappeared altogether. And I've just taken Shiloh Church without any opposition whatsoever. So I'm not sure what happened this time. I think just something happened with the way I set my men. Kind of like what happened on a smaller scale my first time playing Shiloh. That he just kind of sat there and let me just shoot at him. And my artillery in particular just had a field day. Let me find my 24-pounders because there you go, 4,300 kills for my 24-pounders. I had the supplies sitting right on them, and they were just firing nonstop the entire first day of the battle, and just insane numbers of casualties. I really don't even think I lost more than a few thousand men this time. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but it's just been incredible to watch. Yeah, and he's done this a lot. He did a lot of charges with single units that just charged into, you know, he'd send 2,000 men into 8,000, and that's where my guns did a lot of their damage, and same result as what you see right here. He did that a lot. He was hyper aggressive this time around, so I guess that's about it except for the finals. This is kind of incredible. I mean, not only did I see a 700 plus man brigade just dissolve, but I just captured two pretty large brigades. I just charged all of these men in, and I don't know what's going on with his army this time, but things I did not expect to see at Shiloh, that's for sure. Okay, so there it is. I don't know what in the world happened, but it's amazing. I've never had a result like that at Shiloh, not even on the easy difficulty. I found some sweet spot with my setup, and I wish I had recorded the whole battle for you to see it, because I didn't expect it. I definitely did not expect that this was happening. It was only late on the first day that I realized that I was just annihilating him for some reason. You have these massive amounts of missing. You had these units that were just dissolving. A lot of these casualties I caused, they weren't because I was shooting men. It was just because units just dissolved right in front of me. So like 75% casualties for him, while only losing about 7,000 on my side. Captured a ton of guns, which is nice. And man, did I lose any? I lost one colonel killed, but otherwise massive amounts of promotions, and only lost one. I mean, that's crazy to me. But so yeah, I mean, here's Kemper, 4,000 kills and 388 losses. That those 24 pounders ended up a 4582. So you see the point that I'm trying to make. It's time to move on though. Alright, so this time I decided to do Rendezvous first. I can't remember if that's what I did last time or not, but I don't think it was. It's just what I've chosen to do this time, just because I had a pretty big army and I was going to be facing a massive army at the first battle if I went in chronological order. So, largely the same strategy here as last time. I want to try and get some units up here to try and deal some casualties before I march in and take the objective. I pushed over into these woods, dealt with the skirmishers that were there. I think I eliminated one, and the other one got driven off, and I don't know what became of him. He's up here somewhere, and we'll just see how this goes. So it appears he's basically just giving me the objective. I don't even see most of his men. I don't know where they are, but they've pretty much given up the field. So we'll see what happens here. All of my units are in pretty good condition, pretty good morale right now. Heinzelman's just took a little bit of a volley there, went down to about 82%, but they seem otherwise okay. I guess this is just gonna this is how this one's gonna end, because it doesn't appear like he's really too eager to fight. So the timer's out, and I could end this battle at any time, but I've decided to keep it going because it was going so well. And he finally just sent the 7th North Carolina in after me. We're going to see if we can nail him with the cavalry out in the open. Looks like I'm going to be able to do that. Drove off everybody else. Might get really lucky and just wipe this guy out completely. Might get a little clogged up here in the woods. And I'm going to see if I can go grab these supplies before this thing ends. Awesome. All right, I think that's a good spot to stop. All right, we lost 802 men. That's awesome. Very cool. Pretty even on that one. Actually, I might have had a few more men since he had no cavalry and no guns. Caused 3,000 casualties. Grabbed those much sought-after supplies, and we're on to the next battle. All right, so we've gone on to Seven Pines next, and we're going to save the other one for last before we get to Gaines Mill. And I did my fallback. I actually lost a brigade up here that was completely overwhelmed, but took a lot of men with them. So a lot of the casualties I inflicted happened up there on the northern end before I lost that unit altogether. I sat back here and just pummeled him with artillery for a while. You can see all the craters from that, which has used most of my time. And I'm hoping that time is not a factor in this battle, and it allows me to go after. I don't remember if that's the case or not. Because we're going to try to push through here, but I'm still kind of heavily outnumbered, so I'm going to have to be wise with the way I do this. And I'm going to try to push up from the left and get in there and swipe this objective. Alright, it is going to let me play this out. It's going to be a little tricky, and we're starting to lose some casualties here, but I think I've got the numbers on my side at this point. It's just a matter of pushing through here in the center. And bring Fry up, maybe help do some damage there. Looks like Hatton's ready to break, so if we just get a couple volleys into him, I think that'll push him out of there and we can take the center. Might be enough just to jump in here with my cav just for a second. That should break him. Yep. That combined with a volley did the trick. So now we'll just take the objective and then sit tight and see if I can cause some casualties. Alright, so we're in a good strong position now. I just want to get right up to the edge here. I think this one does end once the center's no longer contested, so I've got a limited window here to cause additional casualties. I did get my guns up. So we're going to do what we can here for these final seconds. Oh boy, that's a big brigade coming at me there. I don't think I really want to deal with him any more than I have to. Morale's down on Fisher. Oh, that was a lot of men he just lost. I think we'll call it a day right there. So I lost 4,000 men, took almost 9,000 casualties, and most of these 4,000 men were not mine. In fact, let's look at that real quick. Look at the losses on the Union side. These were not units of mine. I believe those were the ones that I kind of sent in on my own. I could be wrong about that. Howe, Abercrombie, Robinson. So Howe and Abercrombie are the two we're talking about. Let's go back and look at the army and see. Those might have been mine. No, they weren't. Okay, so awesome. So I didn't lose that many. I've actually got, at this point, I've got 13,000 plus another 22,000 in my force pool, assuming I can get them all in. Secure River is going to be a little tricky this time, though, with the size of my army. So we'll see here in just a minute. And I've got my recon up to 4 now because I want to be able to see what's happening throughout the battle. All right, we're on to the last battle before we're officially caught back up. And we just need to take Forest Hill. And I've got recon now, so I can see that I've lost, about 500 men. And I've inflicted 3,000 casualties already. And that's mainly because I bunched everybody up in one little spot right here, and as soon as I started marching forward to try and get in position, he charged into me with like 9,000 men, and my artillery just lit him up, as you can see right there, because they were already in position. My 24-pounders have 257 kills already, 10-pounders 109, so maybe it wasn't so much the artillery, yeah, as it was some of my, oh, right there, Franklin, 725 kills. That's the majority of the damage right there, and it's just incredible. All right, Porter, I think you're good to go now. And now we're just going to march forward and just going to, I think probably once I get here, I want to hold right on the back end of this river here as best I can. But first I got to push him through. Oh, and just like that, he did it again for me. He came running right into my line with one unit, allowing me to inflict massive casualties right where all my guns are stationed at the moment. Now we just gotta drive Jackson out, and I don't want to cross this river, so I just want to kind of sit tight right there as best I can. Once I can push him out of these woods, I'll be pretty content. And I do believe this one ends as soon as the contested timer is done. We're gonna find out, but I'm pretty content with that actually, because he's still got me in numbers. But we're gonna hit this charge right here. That's gonna be nice. All right, yep, that's where it ends. So I lost 1,651, inflicted 8,000 casualties. I don't know what happened this time around, but with these better weapons, man, it's just really making a big difference. So we are officially caught back up, and it's going to be time to go into the Battle of Gaines Mill. But man, am I in a much stronger position this time around. I've got, let's see, 12,000, 13,000 here, plus another 25,000 there. So I'm going to be able to take nearly 40,000 men into the Battle of Gaines Mill, and I feel like that'll be enough to win a convincing victory here against his nearly 50,000 or so. So we're all caught back up. It's probably going to be, I don't know, this weekend, maybe Friday before we get into Gaines Mill. So in the meantime, let me know your thoughts. You'll notice I'm not using the mod that I was using before, and there's a reason for that. As I did a little research, I realized that was the reason why I was facing some incredibly tough battles at the beginning, because it makes it much tougher, and it says that right in the mod instructions, that Major, General, and Legendary difficulties will be significantly tougher in the early game. So I've chosen to forego that. in favor of just doing the vanilla game. So that's where we're at. I'll take a look at reputation and see if there's anything worth spending. I'm not sure that there is. I don't know if I want to spend 10 points to get those 2,000 guns, although I think 10 points still keeps me at a 0 morale effect, so it's basically a wash for me if I do that. So we'll see. I'll start building my army, and we'll come back and show you most of that when the time comes. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for bearing with me as I get caught back up and replay some things, and we'll see you again soon.